Weird sciencey facts that boggle my mind. Light is a force to be reckoned with, literally. It seems like when it comes to physics, light gets to make up all of its own rules. It gets to travel at the speed of light, and it's the only thing that can do that. But it never accelerates. Is it a particle or a wave? It's both, because, why not? And its particles, which are photons, exist, but they have no mass. So because photons have no mass, the light that is hitting me right now can't apply any physical pressure to me or forces on me. As Newton famously told us, force is just mass times acceleration. And light has no mass and it doesn't accelerate, so it can't apply force. Except light makes up its own goddamn rules. And apparently, despite having no mass or acceleration, it does still exert force. Because it has momentum and it can transfer it, I guess. Now, obviously, you don't get knocked over when you turn on the light switch, so the force isn't that great. But it is measurable. About 7 millionths of a Newton per square centimeter. And since I'm nice, I did the maths, and I figured that out in numbers that countries that have been to the moon can understand. And it equates to light exerting about 1.5 pounds of force on an area of 6,200 square miles. So basically, the sunlight's putting about 1.5 pounds of pressure on Hawaii every day. Which again, is not that much. Some of us have eaten burritos that way more than the pressure the sunlight's putting on an entire state. But that's still insane. That means that light exerts force despite not having any of the properties required to exert force. And despite the amount of force seeming inconsequential, it actually has real-world consequences. Or more aptly, out-of-world consequences. Because light can actually push spacecraft off their trajectory. The literal super geniuses at NASA have to actually calculate how much light is going to push their little rockets around. And in theory, we could use light to change the trajectory of asteroids or comets. And while I'm sure it's a pain in the ass to calculate how much a 7 millionth of a Newton per square centimeter per second is going to knock your spacecraft off course, that same force is very likely the secret to interstellar space travel. Because while there's many obstacles between us and a galaxy far, far away, fuel is one of the biggest. Turns out rocket fuel is heavy, and you need a lot of it to get places in outer space. And even more of it to get back from outer space. In fact, the reason that the Apollo astronauts left Earth on a rocket the size of the Empire State Building and parachuted back to Earth in a capsule the size of a Civic is because everything but the capsule they came back in is nothing but gas tank. However, it may be Captain Jack Sparrow capturing a mission to the middle of the Milky Way one day, because as it turns out, you can sail on sunlight. Whoa. While solar sailing may sound like a metaphor, it's not. We're literally talking about throwing up a sheet and letting the sun blow you along. And while Carl Sagan came up with the idea back in 1976, it's just been a theory for over 40 years. Until Bill Nye the frickin' Science Guy made it a reality. That's right, Bill Nye and the Planetary Society have a solar sail-powered satellite orbiting Earth as we speak. And they're talking about launching another one that'll go orbit the sun and check for solar weather and look for asteroids and stuff. And in the future, this technology could be used to travel to places traditional rockets just can't reach. And the fact that one day we could have a real-life Captain Kirk flying something that more resembles old Ironsides than the USS Enterprise, well, that is pretty mind-boggling.